Welcome back to the Story of Liberty. We're talking tyrants. Tiberius Julius Caesar, the Roman emperor from 14 AD to 37 AD. He was adopted by Augustus Caesar and he officially became a Julian, bearing the name Tiberius Julius Caesar. Now, the subsequent emperors after Tiberius would continue this blended dynasty of both families for the next 40 years. Historians have named it the Julio-Claudian dynasty. They were all tyrants: Caligula, Claudius, and Nero, among others. Tiberius, the stepson of Augustus, the great-uncle of Caligula, paternal uncle of Claudius, and the great-great-uncle of Nero, all tyrants. Tiberius liked to execute people. He got joy out of it. Executions were now a stimulus to his fury, and he ordered the death of Christians and others who were lying in prison under simple accusation. It's recorded that they lay singly or in heaps, the unnumbered dead of every age and sex, the illustrious with the obscure. Kingsfolk and friends were not allowed to be near them, to weep over them, or to even gaze on them too long. Spies were sent round them, who noted the sorrow of each mourner and followed the rotting corpses, till they were dragged to the Tiber, where, floating or driven on the bank, no one dared to burn or touch them. Tiberius the emperor, he is named in the book of Luke chapter 3:1, and was the emperor when Christ the Lord was crucified. Emperor Tiberius delighted in watching human beings tortured, and then being thrown live into the sea to drown, fighting to remain alive, struggling with one arm or one leg that was left. Rome. Next we have Emperor Caligula, 37 to 41 AD. There he is. Emperor Caligula became the embodiment of debauchery. His crave for sexual perversions included habitual incest with his sisters. His lavish parties were open orgies. His thirst for blood was so insatiable that on a whim he murdered his entire palace staff. He would close the granaries to starve the people for his sick enjoyment. You know, he was finally assassinated by dozens of men at a party. Even immoral Rome celebrated his death for 3 years after he died. Caligula, a name that'll go down in infamy, a tyrant, a murderer, a thief, an embodiment of the Antichrist. Emperor Claudius, next, 41-54 AD, he wallowed in a demonic enjoyment of watching the blood and gore of men. He brutally disemboweled men, women in the stadiums. We see these emperors, Tiberius, Caligula, Claudius, Nero, with this lasting legacy of Augustus Caesar, the founder of the empire, who had declared himself the priest of the gods. Caesar himself would even pull a random person out of the audience whenever he would have one of these contests. Sometimes it would be a noble person or a commoner or a woman from the top shelf. He would simply throw them to the lions, and for the fun of it, or the thrill would go around the stadium that maybe it might be somebody they knew next. All of the emperors for 300 years until the Christian era, only a handful of these emperors died natural deaths. All the rest were stabbed, poisoned, committed suicide. So we clearly see Rome was the culmination of ancient paganism. It was not the central pillar of Western civilization. a concept that has been taken for granted by so many modern historians. Rome was the ultimate cultural expression of what man could produce without the one true God. Rome was full of sin. And what did it produce? It produced tyranny, starvation, death, destruction, terror as the world had never known. Rome got caught up in the deadly sins of the ancient world, and not much has changed because sin is sin. People have only become more sophisticated in their torture, but no matter what the religious background, whether it's humanism, communism, secularism, socialism, Buddhism, or the Muslim religious idolatry, it all comes down to the deadly sins that have ruined nations and peoples throughout history. The answer is to turn to the one true God, and under God's higher law, live our lives, self-governing ourselves, each one of us.